Hello, everybody. Uh, good afternoon, or good evening, or whenever it is for you when you watch this video. Today, uh, we have major news. There are going to be multiple days of extremely severe weather. It's going to be a very unfortunate sequence of events that's going to happen. Um, it really will be very unfortunate, and uh, really, words, for me at least, cannot even describe what's going to happen. Uh, it's not great. Um, but without further ado, like we always do, we push forward. So, let's get into it. Currently, there is severe weather ongoing today. Um, I won't really go over the description of uh today's severe weather. I'll just basically show you, the highlights of severe weather. Essentially the tornado parameters, the wind parameters, and the hail parameters. I'll show you that. Today we have an enhanced risk of severe weather from eastern Kansas into uh, northern Oklahoma. We also have a slight risk extending from North Texas to southeast Minnesota and the extreme western portion of Wisconsin, and a marginal risk from north central Texas all the way up to the Canadian border. Um, And if you know my severe weather videos now, um, the uh, the more uh, the more colors there are on the map, the worse the severe weather will be. Especially this map. This map is the tornado map. Excuse me. Plots out the chances for tornadoes. We have a 10% small 10% hatched risk of tornadoes that extends from East Kansas to North Oklahoma. The 5% risk extends from the very southern tip of Minnesota all the way down to central Oklahoma, near Oklahoma City. Well, basically, including Oklahoma City. And then the 2% risk goes from near the Great Lakes all the way down to north central Texas. And the hatched risk goes from southwest Iowa into central Oklahoma and eastern Kansas. Also southeast Nebraska and northwest Missouri. So potentially EF2 plus tornadoes. Potentially EF2 plus tornadoes could very likely happen today in portions of Kansas and Oklahoma. At least those are the more concentrated areas. They also could happen in Iowa, in Nebraska, in Missouri, and even in the northern fringe of Texas. The wind, the wind risk. So we have a 30% risk of wind that extends from southwest Iowa to northern and northeast Oklahoma. We also have a hatched risk as well, extending from the Kansas-Nebraska border all the way down through eastern Kansas and into northern Oklahoma. We also have a 15% risk of severe weather extending from southeast Minnesota uh, and western Wisconsin all the way down into north central Oklahoma. And then a 5% risk of wind from north central Texas all the way to the Canadian border. And then the hail risk. This is a bit concerning here. So we have a 45% hatched risk of hail. That's not good. That's not very good. That means that hail of baseballs, potentially, really huge hail will likely fall today. Um, especially concentrated in Kansas and Oklahoma. We have a 45% hatched risk of hail from East Kansas to North Oklahoma. We have a 30% hatched risk of hail from the Kansas-Nebraska border through eastern Kansas and into northern Oklahoma. A 15% risk of hail extending from south central Minnesota and the extreme western portion of Wisconsin, all the way down into north central Texas, and a 5% risk of hail from the Great Lakes region all the way down to north central Texas. And then the hatching goes from southwest Iowa all the way down to north central Texas. So there will be a definite risk of hail today. Um, Most concerning threat, obviously, is tornadoes. There's a 10% hatched risk of tornadoes, meaning that tornadoes, EF2 plus potentially, are likely to occur. Um, so, yeah, please be aware of all severe hazards today. I mean, severe weather is already ongoing. There is a severe thunderstorm warning for Lincoln, Nebraska. So the northern-ish, northwestern-ish portion of Lincoln, Nebraska is under a severe thunderstorm warning. There's also a tornado warning for Beatrice, Kansas, or Beatrice, Nebraska, excuse me. There are tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches issued already for Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Um, Severe thunderstorm watch specifically covers Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the Minnesota region. And then the two tornado watches cover Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri. That really is all there is to it for at least today, for today's risk. Um, uh, like, yeah. As you could see, if you saw from my my Discord notifications up there, there's a new risk of severe weather, so we're going to have to check back in on that. So just keep in mind this risk right here, what this looks like, because from what I am seeing, the slight risk, because I'm looking at my phone right now, my slight risk, or the slight risk, is extended up into central Minnesota in the western portion of Wisconsin. So it definitely has expanded. I don't really see any changes to the enhanced risk. The marginal risk kind of remains relatively the same. However, the slight risk was just extended just a little bit north. So not very good, not very good. Um, it isn't. If we refresh, it still says 1630Z. So let's move on to the 1730 UTC Day 2 Convective Outlook. This is for tomorrow. This is for Friday. So we have currently have a slight risk of severe weather for most of Arkansas besides the northern part, central Missouri, northern Louisiana, northeast Texas, and southeast Oklahoma. We also have two marginal risks. One marginal risk containing the rest of Arkansas into southern Missouri, southwest Kentucky, western Tennessee, almost all of Mississippi, western Alabama, central Louisiana, a large portion of central and northeast and east and northern Texas, central Oklahoma, and that's really it. And then the other marginal risk is just kind of, the Great Lakes region, Indiana, Ohio, extreme portions of southern Michigan, specifically southeast Michigan, and extreme portions of northern Kentucky. So that's really it. The tornado threat is definitely low. It's actually very low. Not zero, but it's definitely very low. It's only a 2% tornado risk that it takes over almost the entire state of Arkansas, the southwestern portion of Tennessee, the Memphis metro, a very big chunk of central, northern, and southern Mississippi, uh, northern Louisiana, northeast Texas, southeast Oklahoma, and a very small portion of southern Missouri. That's the 2% risk. It is unhatched, meaning that there will not be a significant EF2 plus tornado threat as of lately. We also have a 15% wind risk, which encompasses the same region as the slight risk. So they're basically the same. They're identical. So I'm not going to list out the same regions. And then the hail risk. The hail risk is definitely not as identical because there's a hatched risk. We have a 15% risk of hail from central and southern and southwestern Arkansas to northern Louisiana to southeast Oklahoma and northeast Kansas. We also have a hatched risk extending from western Arkansas to the very, very, very extreme portion of northwest Louisiana to southern and southeastern Oklahoma, and most of central and eastern Texas is in the hatched risk, the stippled region. So, yeah. Uh, Yeah, really. This this marginal risk is just for wind, so we're not really going to go over that. I mean, I don't really think it's associated with the system that's going to be causing this, but anything can happen. There's a potential. Oh, basically, the entire state of Illinois tomorrow is under a general thunderstorm risk. So as the entire state of Michigan, including the lower and upper portions, besides this extreme western part here. Uh, all of Kentucky, all of West Virginia, almost all of Alabama. Um, yeah, there are many places that will experience thunderstorms tomorrow. Uh, so let's essentially read the description for tomorrow. Uh, Day 2 convective outlook, National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, issued by the 15th OWS Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. Let's actually see if it's because like are all of them? Okay. Okay. This one was not issued by the Air Force Base in Illinois. It's kind of weird. I did not know that I did not know that the OWS Scott Air Force Base in Illinois issued Storm Prediction Center outlooks. I did not know that they did that. Nor do I really know why they do that, to be quite honest with you. I don't know why they do that. But who knows? And to be honest, who really cares? Like, I mean, that's not really a good thing to say. People probably care. Alrighty. So, as you can see, there's a lot to cover. um, Summary. Scattered severe thunderstorms are possible Friday from the southern plains into the lower Mississippi Valley. Large hail and damaging winds will be the main hazards, with a brief tornado also possible. Isolated strong wind gusts may occur across portions of the lower Ohio Valley as well. Synopsis. Broad cyclonic flow will persist across much of the central and western United States as a long-wave trough remains anchored over the northern states. In the absences of stronger large-scale ascent across the southern United States, convective evolution will be driven primarily by remnant boundaries and subtle perturbations within the broader cyclonic flow. Southern plains into the lower Mississippi Valley. Convection is expected to be ongoing from portions of Oklahoma into Arkansas and Missouri at the start of the forecast period, largely tied to a convectively augmented cold front. This activity may still be capable of producing isolated strong wind gusts early in the period, but should gradually weaken through the morning as the low-level jet dissipates and the parent shortwave moves away from the region. The primary severe weather threat is expected to develop from the afternoon into the evening along the effective frontal zone and any residual outflow or differential heating boundaries. Current guidance suggests the boundary will settle near or south of Interstate 40, though some uncertainty in the exact location remains. Notably, the HRRR is an outlier in maintaining a farther north and west boundary as compared to other members of today's high-resolution ensemble forecast. By afternoon, strong heating south of the boundary will support a moderately to strongly unstable air mass, surface-based CAPE values in the 2 to 3,000 joules per kilogram range, from central and east Texas northward towards the boundary, with instability gradually decreasing with eastward extent into Mississippi and Alabama. Deep layer shear will remain modest across the region, generally 30 to 35 knots, supporting organized multicells and occasional transient supercells. Thunderstorms should develop and intensify from eastern Oklahoma into Arkansas along one or more of boundaries across the region. Initial thunderstorms may pose a threat for large hail and localized damaging wind gusts, as low-level shear will generally remain weak. However, localized enhancements along boundaries or any mesoscale convective vortice could support a brief tornado risk. With time, thunderstorm interactions and consolidating outflows should support upscale growth into one or more clusters or linear mesoscale convective system structures. These systems should move east-southeast into northern Louisiana and central Mississippi through the afternoon and evening hours. While the modest deep layer shear may temper the overall wind threat somewhat, sufficient organization should still support a corridor of damaging wind gusts. Farther west into central and east Texas, isolated convection may occur along a dry line as diurnal heating weakens inhibition to the east. Storm coverage is expected to remain sparse given weak ascent, but any sustained updrafts in this strongly unstable environment could produce large hail. We're not really going to read the portions of the Ohio Valley because it's really only for wind, and wind is, well, it's a marginal risk, so nothing really is going to happen there. I shouldn't say nothing, but nothing that is as important as what we're, going through the motions and everything. Anyway, so this is Saturday's severe weather outlook. Saturday, there's going to be a very noticeable reinvigoration of severe weather compared to Friday, tomorrow. So, as you could see, there is an enhanced risk of severe weather from southern Kansas into central and northeast Oklahoma, and a very small portion of northwest Arkansas and southwest Missouri. There also is a slight risk extending from central Kansas to southwest Missouri to central and, kind of southwest Oklahoma, also southeast Oklahoma, western and central Arkansas, northwest Louisiana, and northeast Texas. And then there is a marginal risk extending from southern Nebraska to Kansas to Missouri to Oklahoma to Arkansas to northern and central-ish Louisiana to western Mississippi and central and northeast Texas. And the probabilistic outlook, there is a hatched risk extending from central Kansas to most of Oklahoma, excluding the Panhandle, into western Arkansas, northwest Louisiana, and northeast and east central and central Texas. So, that's really it for Friday's risk, to be honest. Severe weather will definitely be very imminent on Saturday. I think I said Friday earlier. Saturday. This is all for Saturday's outlook. Saturday, Saturday, Saturday. Saturday's outlook doesn't look, well, I mean, it's going to be pretty bad, but from the looks of things, it doesn't look terrible. There isn't like a ton of hatching and Sig 2s and Sig 3s, which we haven't seen yet. But there's more concerning stuff along the way. So you thought this was bad. Take a look at Sunday and Monday. Boom. It's gonna get even more concerning. Places like Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Broken Arrow, and Fort Smith, Arkansas are in the enhanced risk. Places in a slight risk include Shreveport, Norman, Bossier City, Springdale, and more. And places in the marginal risk include Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, Plano, and Garland. And if you're wondering what the light green stuff is, that means that just general thunderstorms are expected to develop. It doesn't mean that these thunderstorms will be severe, but they technically could. It's kind of, in quotes, kind of rare to see severe thunderstorms pop up in general thunderstorm risks, especially if they're not a part of or close to the main risk of severe weather. Places all along the southeast, literally everywhere in the southeast, every state could potentially see some very gloomy conditions from some thunderstorms, general sparse garden variety rain shower thunderstorms in the southeast, and all the way up into the mid-Atlantic and Ohio valleys. Even portions of southwest Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, could see, a couple of thunderstorms here or there, but nothing really too out of the ordinary and nothing too severe. It's going to mainly be sub-severe, and there's also a general thunderstorm risk from California to Nevada to Oregon to Utah to Wyoming. So cool. Anyway, let's do this. There is an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms from south central Kansas into central and eastern Oklahoma and far northwest Arkansas. Synopsis. Severe thunderstorms will likely develop across portions of Oklahoma and Kansas during the late afternoon and evening. These thunderstorms will pose a risk of very large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of tornadoes. Isolated severe thunderstorms may also develop across portions of Texas. Synopsis. Increasingly diffluent southwest flow will overspread parts of the southern and central plains on Saturday as the mid-level pattern responds to a strong shortwave and vorticity maximum moving into the southwest. This will induce strong southerly winds across the plains, helping to draw an outflow-influenced frontal boundary northward. This boundary is currently forecast to be oriented from northwest to southeast across portions of Oklahoma by late Saturday. Parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas into the Latex and lower Mississippi Valley. No changes have been made to the enhanced risk. Good. Rich moisture, steep mid-level lapse rates, and diurnal heating will result in strong destabilization across parts of the southern plains, with at least moderate destabilization into parts of Kansas. Large-scale ascent will be subtle at best during the day, but isolated severe storm development will be possible by late afternoon in the vicinity of the diffuse warm front extending from eastern Oklahoma into southern Kansas and vicinity. Favorable deep layer shear combined with the moderate to strong buoyancy will favor initial supercellular development with a threat of very large hail and potentially a couple of tornadoes, especially near the remnant boundary. Some upscale growth will be possible into the evening with potential for an organized cluster or mesoscale convective system to move southeastward along the instability gradient towards parts of the Arklatex and potentially the lower Mississippi Valley before weakening. This evolution could be accompanied by an increasing damaging wind threat along with isolated hail and or tornado potential with any embedded supercells. Farther south, a conditionally favorable environment will be in place during the afternoon along and east of the effective dry line, from southwest Oklahoma into Texas. Despite the lack of notable large-scale ascent, isolated storms may develop due to weakening convective inhibition and heating to convective temperatures. Any thunderstorms that can mature within this environment could evolve into supercells with large to very large hail potential. The marginal risk has been expanded southwestward across Texas, where some global and extended convective allowing model guidance show a signal for sustained development during the late afternoon. So, nothing was tweaked with the enhanced risk. However, still, large hail, damaging winds, tornadoes are still expected in the orange, mostly, I shouldn't say specifically, but mostly the orange. And then the further away you get from the orange, the less prognosticated concentration of severe weather there will be. Concentration of severe weather, meaning the clustering of thunderstorms and thunderstorm reports, basically. But yeah, so Saturday there will be a reinvigoration of severe weather. However, I really personally think that these next 2 days, Sunday and Monday, the 26th and the 27th, are going to be much more concerning than Saturday. Here is why. Day 4, this is Sunday's risk. Sunday, there is a risk of thunderstorms, 30% enhanced risk equivalent from eastern Oklahoma to southeast Kansas. Boom. And then a 15% slight risk equivalent from western Missouri to southeast Nebraska to central and eastern Kansas to western-ish Oklahoma, not excluding portions near the Panhandle, or excluding portions near the Panhandle, excuse me, northeast Texas, central and western Arkansas, and that's really it. Boom. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Day 5. This is Monday's risk. Now notice the huge risk. It's huge. Compared to this, boom, look at that. Look at that. That is risk growth for you. That's upscale growth for the risk area. Um, if you're wondering why that's funny, it's kind of not, but upscale growth refers to thunderstorms merging into a convective line or a quasi-linear convective system. If you're a meteorologist or a weather analyst or somebody who's really into meteorological patterns and words and stuff like that, then you'll kind of get it. But trust me, it wasn't funny. Anyway, let's 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 just try to move on. Think nothing happened, whatever. Yeah. So Sunday's risk from, again, like I said, Eastern. The most concentrated, pronged concentrated severe threat is from Eastern Oklahoma to Southeast Kansas. Boom. Now this, I barely have words for this. People are saying that Monday will be April 27th all over again, and I'm actually looking at models, and nothing will ever be like April 27th as of currently right now. But I am very concerned about Monday specifically because of the heightened ceiling. Many models are currently painting a very, very bad picture for Monday specifically. Not saying that Sunday is not bad, but Monday is probably worse. Uh, and, as uncertainty starts to get ruled out, things start to become more clear, things start to become more picturesque. Uh, you'll understand probably why. So I digress. We have a 30% enhanced risk equivalent from southern and southwest Illinois into central and eastern and southeastern Missouri, into extreme northeast Arkansas, into extreme northwest Tennessee, not Memphis, sorry, northwest Tennessee, and into western Kentucky. And then the 15% risk is big. The 15% risk contains the rest of Illinois, including Chicago, southern Wisconsin, which they've seen enough severe weather already, most of Iowa, almost the rest of Missouri. So for Iowa, it's central, southern, eastern, northeast, southeast, and southwest Iowa, and south central Iowa and north central Iowa. Uh, almost the rest of Missouri, excluding this tiny little bit up there. Eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, almost all of Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northwest Alabama, central-ish and western Tennessee, central Kentucky, and most of Indiana, central, western, northwestern, southwestern, and south central Tennessee, and an extreme southeastern part of Michigan. Oh, I also forgot to mention northeast Louisiana, the extreme northeastern tip of Louisiana, and Lake Michigan. Because why not? I mean, we already had enough severe weather over here. Why not? Like the Great Lakes don't need any more severe weather, but unfortunately they're here to collect. Uh, like yeah, this is saddening. This is absolutely depressing. I'm depressedly saying everything right now. I'm trying to boost the mood a little bit, but it's hard to boost the mood when you have all these facts, all these pieces of data that are hitting you right in the chest. It's unfortunate. Um, like I'm not really going to be able to do anything about this, unfortunately. I just feel guilty for everybody. But yeah, can't cry now, cry later. Let's get into this. So, day 4 through 8 convective outlook. National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center, Norman, Oklahoma. 4:04 a.m. Central Daylight Time, Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. Valid on the 26th at 7 a.m. Central to the 1st of May, on 7 a.m. Central. Discussion: A multi-day severe weather event remains on track for Sunday evening through Monday, with additional severe thunderstorms possible during the rest of the forecast period. A vigorous yet compact, negatively tilted mid-level wave is forecast to move across the southwest and eject into the plains Sunday evening into Monday. As this wave ejects into the central United States, strong surface cyclogenesis is expected over the central plains on Sunday evening. The flow around this low rhymes will help draw very rich boundary layer moisture northward to the east of a sharpening dry line. The atmosphere on Sunday across the southern and central plains should remain capped for much of the day, allowing for extreme instability to develop. SB Cape, MU Cape, in excess of 4,000 joules per kilogram. In excess of. So it's 4,000 joules per kilogram plus. As modest height falls overspread the dry line during the late afternoon and evening hours, the expectation is that at least a few thunderstorms will be able to break through the cap. Not good whatsoever. While the global guidance is still struggling to produce widespread precipitation along and east of the dry line, the control members are now at least producing light quantitative precipitation forecast signals along the dry line, which would tend to support the idea that isolated convection is possible. Keyword is isolated. Isolated thunderstorms are discrete. They will discreetly pop up everywhere. And that isolated discrete convection will all be supercells. All. That means that very strong tornadoes, very large hail, and maybe if they, grow upscale, which they probably will, very damaging winds. But that's Sunday. Monday's a different story. However, we're not really done with Sunday, because we still got this paragraph. The environment to the east of the dry line will be very unstable and increasingly sheared as enhanced mid-level flow overspreads the warm sector. Additionally, as the surface low deepens during the evening hours, low-level winds will respond by rapidly increasing to greater than 50 knots. The result will be the potential for any thunderstorm that develops and sustains itself to become strong supercells capable of producing all severe hazards, including significant severe. I have absolutely no words, and I really don't know how to describe this situation. I mean, sure, I've definitely seen severe weather in the past, but these signals are always a jab to the gut. It sucks because you know that something terrible is going to happen. It really, like, you have that feeling that something terrible is going to happen with this severe weather and everything. It's going to be bad. All we can do is pray for those people. That's what James Spann said. All we can do is pray for those people. So let's start praying. Let's do this. But yeah. Anyway, so instead of me sounding so morbid, let's continue reading. As the main wave continues to lift northeast on Monday, the surface low should rapidly move from the central plains into the upper Mississippi Valley. As this occurs, a surface warm front will rapidly lift northward on the nose of an intense low-level jet. This low-level jet will likely result in widespread precipitation to the north of the front, which will have impacts on the northern extent of Monday's afternoon severe potential. So, the severe potential in the north could potentially be hindered because of the convection that's initiating from the catafrontal or anafrontal, frontal convection. Boom, there you go. By Monday afternoon, additional thunderstorms are expected to develop along and east of an advancing dryline/cold front in an increasingly unstable atmosphere. Diurnal heating of a boundary layer with low to mid-60s dew points should result in SB Cape, MU Cape values between 2 and 3,000 joules per kilogram. Additionally, vertical shear will remain more than sufficient for supercells All severe hazards will remain possible with this convection, with the greatest concentration of severe thunderstorms likely across the mid-Mississippi Valley, where a 30% area was introduced. Monday evening into the overnight will see a continued potential for severe thunderstorms as the surface front pushes east into the western portions of the Ohio Valley. Additionally, severe thunderstorms will likely continue across the southwest portion of the front, which will slowly begin to stall in a southwest to northeast or west to east configuration across Arkansas and Kentucky. Wow. Just wow, really. Like, back-to-back days of terrible severe weather. I mean, Sunday will have more impressive thermodynamics, but I really think Monday will be worse because Monday has a greater signal for convection. With Sunday, only the control models are starting to produce a light QPF signal, and QPF means quantitative precipitation forecast. And the higher the QPF, the more likely thunderstorms are to develop. Now, you don't want too high of a QPF because that actually favors flash flooding more than severe thunderstorms. So if you have the QPF factor just right, you're going to see severe weather. Severe weather will be favored. And the QPF is isolated, so minimal-ish convection will develop. Isolated thunderstorms are expected to develop on Sunday, though. With Monday, the shear and thermodynamics still will be very strong. Not as strong. Definitely not 4,000 joules per kilogram, at least not yet. 2 to 3,000 joules per kilogram and 50 knots of shear, not great. Not great. However, the convection is much more favored. So there's a higher chance for convective elements. And, obviously, convection happens, severe weather happens, the probabilities and chances and you know, they all increase. So it's not going to be good. It's really not going to be good for these people. I can't really say a word. I can't. We have this last paragraph. So let's do this. Additionally, severe thunderstorms will be possible Tuesday through Thursday across the southern and central plains into the lower to middle Mississippi Valley as cyclonic mid-level flow persists atop a moist boundary layer with a frontal boundary somewhere across the area. However, given the uncertainties and how the convective evolution of Sunday and Monday will impact the location of relevant surface features and the general uncertainty associated with identifying the timing of mid-level perturbations, embedded within the broader scale cyclonic mid-level flow, unconditional 15% severe probabilities will be deferred to subsequent outlooks. Basically, that last sentence right there essentially summarizes that yes, there is uncertainty. There is a, I call it the MUP. I just coined this term literally today, this afternoon. The MUP, the MUP, or Modular Uncertainty Parameter. It basically states that, there will never not be uncertainty because even on day one, even on the day of severe weather, models still have some bias, either a temperature bias or a dew point bias or a general low pressure bias, high pressure bias, trough bias. They do. They all have biases of unique origins, and none are going to be 100% agreeable. They will never fully agree because they will place certain mesoscale features maybe 3 miles to the west or 5 miles northeast, something like that. They never fully 100% solidify themselves and agree. They never do. And so the MUP exponentially increases as you go further out in time, right? So, yes, like you can theoretically take the GFS run and just run it all the way out. Run it all the way to 384 hours and do that. Now, sometimes it really depends on the GFS run. It also depends on what's happening and what it's compared to. But the GFS further out, specifically the GFS, I mean, well, not specifically, but I am pointing out the GFS because it says the weirdest things. The GFS can get bullish sometimes once you go further out in time. Like, I think this was like some months back when it was still wintertime. The GFS showed a large trough developing at like 300 hours or something like that. It didn't really happen, but the modular uncertainty parameter, the MUP, increases exponentially as you go further away from the present and go into more of the future. So once you get deeper into the nitty-gritties of the future, you're going to have to know that there will be much more uncertainty that you will have to deal with. And the uncertainty makes it very hard for forecasting, specifically for storm chasers and forecasters at like the Storm Prediction Center, because it's a complete wishy-washy kind of effect. Some models say this, other models say this. Some models are uncertain about this, whereas other models are not uncertain about this, but uncertain about that. It's crazy. It really is. And it's really absurd. Like, I mean, I get why models are back and forth, wishy-washy, uncertain, all that stuff. I get that because they're computers, and computers are not expected to perform at their best. I mean, they really should, but it's not like they have a gun to their head. And computers are coded differently around the world. So, yeah, at least I think so. So, I said I was going to go back to the day one because I wanted to see what the newest outlook was because it came out about 30 minutes ago, the new Storm Prediction Center Day 1 outlook. So, actually, sorry, I'm all Twitter pating you guys and going all over the place. This is Sunday's risk, Sunday, April 26th. This is Monday's risk, Monday, April 27th. This is Saturday's severe weather risk, Saturday, April 25th. Tomorrow's risk, Friday, April 24th. And the Storm Prediction Center apparently did not update the risk. Yay! Yay! So the Storm Prediction Center, if you don't know, sometimes notoriously is very late to issuing some things. If you've noticed, they sometimes are notoriously late for issuing forecast discussions or really stuff like that. If you if you look, I can literally pull up data from my phone and compare this to what I'm seeing on my phone. Nope, not that. This. Yes, this. The Storm Protection Center, uh, its 20Z outlook. Uh, this says 1630Z. It's supposed to say 20Z or 20 UTC, but the Storm Prediction Center just has to be behind today, which is never good whatsoever when they're behind because then it hinders our you know information dissemination. So uh, I have the image side by side here. I have the 1630 UTC outlook versus the 20 UTC outlook. The 20 UTC outlook that I have on my phone shows nothing changed with the enhanced risk. The enhanced risk is just the way it is. The slight risk, however, has expanded north. Has expanded north a little bit, has gotten wider and progressed north. So it's progressed north and gotten a little bit wider at the northern part of the risk zone. But that's really it. There really are no other changes. Uh, so yeah, that's really it. It's unfortunate that the Storm Prediction Center cannot update this on time. I understand they're the Storm Prediction Center and they do have a busy schedule. Again, they are the center of predicting thunderstorms in, you know, Don't mean to put pressure on them, but they kind of do need to pick up the pace here. I mean, they're not expected to be on time because they're Storm Prediction Center, but they really should be encouraged to be on time because maybe they can gain their reputation a little bit. Anyways, that really is it for today. I really am very concerned about Sunday and Monday. Um, those risk areas, excuse me, those risk areas for Sunday and Monday are definitely nothing to ever overlook, or those risk zones are to never ever be not taken seriously. So just please, for the love of all that is holy, be prepared. Take shelter when you need to, and understand that if you don't shelter, you're going to be putting yourself in a risk of danger. That goes for every single severe weather risk that's issued in the future. If you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, know what to do when the warning comes through. Move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Avoid windows. If you're outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Same thing for a tornado warning. But a tornado warning, you need to take more urgency if it's a tornado warning. Tornado warning, move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, not just any building, but a sturdy one. Definitely avoid windows. If you are outdoors, move in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Also, just a little reminder that tornadoes are extremely difficult to see or confirm at night, so do not wait to see or hear a tornado, even in the daytime, and take cover instantly when the tornado warning is issued. Uh, this is literally for everybody. Everybody needs to know this information. It's very, very important. Uh, you know, you know, it really is. Es muy importante, as the Spanish say. Uh, the Storm Prediction Center is still not updating. Yay! Actually, they have. They updated their main risk on the main page, but they don't do it on the stupid uh like actual website. Watch, I'm gonna end the recording and then they're gonna be updated just a couple of minutes later. But you could always look for yourself at spc.noaa.gov. That's spc.noaa.gov. It's also on the top center portion of the screen here, spc.noaa.gov. If you ever want to look at the Weather Prediction Center, it is wpc.ncep.noaa.gov. That's wpc.ncep.noaa.gov. And the Climate Prediction Center is the cpc.ncep.noaa.gov. That's cpc.ncep.noaa.gov. Wow, that was this is probably my longest video so far. Um, real big content here. Yeah. But anyways, I really don't have anything else to say. My mouth is cooked, basically. Actually, there you go. They just updated it. So I'm gonna continue to record. Uh, to be quite honest with you, I will continue recording. Uh, they did expand the hail risk up north, so that's why the slight risk was expanded northward. The wind risk remains the same, but they did expand the hail risk and make it a little bit wider. Uh, Overall, nothing much has changed. So, again, please, 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 uh, for all that's holy, take shelter when you can. Pay attention to the severe thunderstorms. Pay attention to see if you're under a tornado warning or a tornado emergency. There is a difference. There is a staunch difference. There really is. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive weather watches and warnings. Make sure you tune into your local news station, your radio station, your social media page for the National Weather Service. Make sure you have weather radios. Those help tremendously because they're loud. They're supposed to be loud. They're supposed to wake up the dead, basically. You're asleep, they go off, boom, you're not asleep anymore. And if you are, then you're dead or you really are a deep sleeper. But please, for everything on everything I love, please just listen to the National Weather Service when they have to say things. I mean, sorry for sounding so urgent, so desperate, so deplorable, so this, so that. You need to listen to the National Weather Service, or you'll potentially, I say potentially because there always is a potential, you'll potentially die. Either a tornado hits you, or you get clobbered by a hailstone, or a tree collapses into you because of a strong straight line damage at wind gusts. Oh, whoa, would you look at that? It's 4:30. I've been recording for basically an hour. At least it feels like it. It's probably closer to 50 minutes. But yeah, now I'm going to go. Sorry I made this video so long. Have a wonderful day, everybody.